Is it true that just one unhealthy relationship can change your entire attachment style? The short answer is absolutely. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist, and I've been working for over 15 years in the field of psychology. I have seen some wild experiences change attachment styles in people. This question, though, comes directly from the comment sections. A lot of you guys have asked this. Adam, can one relationship really change me that much? Yes. Your attachment style, by the way, is not etched in stone. It's a lot more like wet cement. It's malleable. It's influenced by experiences. It can and should shift over time, especially if you drop in with unhealthy, insecure attachment. You are supposed to shift towards secure attachment when your environment is appropriate for that. If your environment's not appropriate for that, you are supposed to shift away from it, maybe become a little bit more avoidant from the people around you. Your survival depends on your attachment style, and your attachment style is catered to your circumstances, to your survival. Keep that in mind. Now, a toxic relationship is a sledgehammer to that cement. It can crack it, chip it, even reshape it entirely. I have seen some of the most extreme examples of bad relationships taking somebody from secure attachment to horrifically broken attachment. And we can talk about why that happens. There's something you need to understand. In unhealthy relationships, you're not just like learning new behaviors. You're not just doing different things or having new experiences. You are reinforcing neural pathways in your brain parts that might be linked directly to trauma, for example. It's like training your brain to react in certain ways. Have you ever used a social media app? I bet you have. And then watched some sort of video like here on YouTube. And then all of a sudden your suggested videos were completely skewed because of that one video you watched. That's your brain in a bad relationship. Now that's just one little click on something different. Imagine if you clicked on something so different, it weighted your entire algorithm so that 70 or 80% of your algorithm now was entirely absorbed in that new video. Now imagine if that new video had been so awful and so opposed to your interests that it now had ruined your own personal channel, and you were sitting there struggling desperately to try to clear out all these videos that are of no interest to you. That's a bad relationship with your attachment style. You are retraining your brain. Now, over time, these patterns can become deeply ingrained, and that mimics the hallmarks of an insecure attachment style. So, how exactly does this happen? Let's dive right now into understanding how toxic relationships deepen attachment patterns, how they hinder your growth, and how it's crucial to effectively manage and overcome these challenges if you've had a bad relationship or if you face one in the near future. I'm going to explain why, and I'm going to explain what to do about it. Now, one major problem is that bad relationships, even one bad relationship, can massively reinforce your existing patterns. Toxic relationships amplify existing attachment tendencies. That makes it much harder for individuals to break free from unhealthy patterns. I've seen this time and again in my coaching, where somebody grew up in a difficult family circumstance. Maybe they had a dad who was very critical and very emotionally withdrawn. And now your brain says, a lot of people are going to be hurtful. Maybe I don't deserve love. You go out into the world, you find a partner who then often reinforces that pattern. Now, if your first partner is somebody who really cares for you and nurtures you and guides you through, fantastic. You might actually go back and fix some of that pattern. And that's the power of a secure relationship. We'll talk about that later. We're going to talk about the negative right now because it's what most people experience. If you go out into the world and have a very avoidant boyfriend, the first thing right off the bat, your brain now says, yep, I figured this is how men are going to treat me, my dad and this guy, and it's probably all my fault. It massively reinforces it. What does that say? They say the first cut is the deepest. The first wounding in romantic relationships is incredibly deep. That first love who just reinforces the agony from your childhood, very, very hard to overcome. Not impossible, but very hard, and unfortunately all too common. Now, the solution to these reinforcing of existing patterns really is to recognize, number one, that these patterns are even being reinforced, and breaking free from those requires some targeted strategies. This is why I encourage so many people to identify your patterns for yourself and then take some practical steps to counteract them, right? I offer this inside my coaching practice, inside my group coaching community. You've seen a lot of this here on this channel. I've got my course and stuff on courses actually on how to do this. take some practical steps to interrupt your patterns. If you find that you are in a relationship that's reinforcing existing patterns, make sure you know what those patterns are. Make sure you know how to interrupt them. Make sure you know how to break free from them. It is enormously important you do this. Otherwise, you will simply recreate the same patterns over and over and over. And you'll be, unfortunately, like those people that email me and say, Adam, I've been with 4 avoidant partners in a row and I just can't take it anymore. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Sit down, figure out what you're doing. And if you need help, remember that I am here for that. Now, an absolutely crucial part of this process is developing new coping mechanisms. Toxic relationships often lead to development of maladaptive coping mechanisms like extreme independence in avoidant people or overwhelming clinginess in anxious people. Sometimes it can be addictive behaviors, even if that's binge shopping on Amazon, if it's sugar, if it's food, if it's gambling, video games, other things that are much, much less likely to pass the censors here on this channel. But I've seen some wild addictive behaviors that are coping mechanisms for living continuously inside these relationships. That massively high stress that you experience, that cortisol, it doesn't just go away. And if you're in bad relationships, you're probably not going to get the right relief that you need from that partner, the oxytocin and then the GABA to bring down your cortisol or the direct serotonin to really enhance your mood and help you relax. You're probably not going to get that with them. Instead, you're going to get more cortisol for even asking or more cortisol for not asking. And it's just going to make everything worse. Then you're going to binge dopamine to try to feel better, or you're going to desperately cling on to that person that you really shouldn't. You've got to develop more coping strategies, okay? Therapy can be helpful for this, and I've seen that be helpful, but some practical tips that I teach to my coaching clients are things like somatic body work, breath work. I have a specific muscle relaxation activity that I teach to people, gathering together in community and speaking through it and really processing it out, having people that watch you and can really help you with that and give you reality checks. I call them emotional spotters. That is very helpful for things like that. I try to provide as many tools as possible to replace unhealthy coping mechanisms to give more constructive work. It's crucial, okay? If you find yourself repeating those same old patterns, you've got to build new coping mechanisms because the ones you have are guiding you right back into those relationships. So make sure that you're using healthier coping mechanisms to get better equipped to build and maintain secure, fulfilling relationships. Absolutely mandatory. Now, we talked trauma very briefly a moment ago. I want to get back into it. My specialty as a therapist, I had 2. One was attachment theory and the other was severe trauma. And actually the way those 2 wove together, because trauma is usually what fosters attachment issues in the first place. Now, that's a blanket statement. I don't mean life-threatening trauma, but as a child, feeling instability in your family feels life-threatening. Fearing abandonment is life-threatening when you're 2 years old. When you feel like you're going to be overwhelmed by people's emotions as a 2-year-old, you might become avoidant to try to get away from it or get away from hurtful people or abusive people. Trauma from really hurtful, abusive relationships then, as you go on into adulthood, can reinforce or create new attachment patterns that are there, really complicating that process of healing and relationship building. I've seen way too many clients who come to me who were doing really well until they got with somebody who was just overwhelmingly chaotic and hurtful. I love you. Now I hate you. Now I love you. Now I hate you. Now I love you. Back and forth, sometimes with personality disorders. The research indicates about 9% to 15% of the population now has a personality disorder. 15% is on the upper side of the scale. I've heard suggestions that it could be 20%. I'm very skeptical about that, but 15% does seem more reasonable based on some of the other research I've seen. So 9 to 15% indicates personality disorders. You have a pretty good chance of getting into a relationship with these people. And these are the ones that often can slip past your guard. They can really trap and secure. They can trap and hold on to people who are otherwise secure and then really, really put them through the ringer. I've seen a lot of people go out and get fooled and then get married fairly quickly, 6 to 12 months, even 18 months, and get married to someone with a personality disorder who was capable of faking it up till that point. And then they push through and then create this overwhelming trauma cycle. I've seen it again and again and again. And these are women and men who honestly otherwise were pretty good. They were raised with loving families. They tried their best. It was just they got blindsided by these individuals. It does happen, as much as we don't want to talk about it. As much as I say that's not the majority, it's not. It does happen sometimes. Okay. A lot of times what I do when people come in through that, I work them through my coaching practice, and I guide them into understanding levels of trust, who not to trust, how to really filter out some of those red flags that they missed because they just weren't scanning for that malicious level of deception. It's harder to indicate these people and find them. You need some training in it. And that's one thing that I do with my clients who've come in and had severe trauma. But understanding the red flags can give you some peace of mind. Otherwise, your brain will be trapped in this trauma cycle of nothing feels safe. I don't know what to do. Keep in mind that trauma is your brain saying, what are all the factors that went into me getting hurt, and how do I make sure I never get hurt again? And if your brain can't process those two questions logically, you won't get through that trauma. Again, whether it's life-threatening or just emotionally painful and agonizing, it's going to stick with you until your brain can resolve those two questions. So getting them resolved as fast as possible, really important. That's why I flood my coaching clients with information through this, or my private group coaching clients. I flood them with this information as well, so they can get through that information. Very important that you have someone guiding you through that. Whether that's me or somebody else, please have somebody help you. Now, healing from that trauma will and does enable you to form healthier attachment connections with people. It frees your brain up and says, oh, that's why that happened. I don't have to walk around being afraid. I don't have to be afraid of every person. I don't have to react terrified inside relationships with people. I don't have to be constantly on guard and hyper vigilant about what's going to happen to me. I don't have to be petrified of every word and walk on eggshells around everybody else. I've seen that too many times with coaching clients who've also come to me who had a horrific experience with one partner, and the next partner was loving and kind, but they can't get out of that survival mentality. So they've really run their new partner into the ground, and they feel absolutely exhausted and stressed out, both of them now, because of that prior trauma. If that's something you're experiencing, you can work through this. There's a number of ways to do that. If you need help, please reach out. My email is support@adamlanesmith.com, or hit me in the comments. Let me know that you need some help. I can help guide you through that, but you've got to get through that trauma so that you don't drag it with you into the next relationship and make a good relationship into hell. Now, when it comes to rewiring those neural pathways, okay, I'm a big advocate for this. Those negative experiences in toxic relationships, they create these entrenched neural pathways in your brain that make it difficult to adopt healthier attachment styles. I can't do that because this will happen. I can't do that because this hurt will happen. I can't do that because someone might do this. I can't do that because I get hurt like this. It's similar to the trauma, but it's a learned behavior that gets wired into your brain. Sometimes from your parents for 18 years. Sometimes, though, from partners, from new partners, from one bad relationship. Maybe one bad boss even can do some of this. I've seen massive damage there. Making sure that you challenge those thoughts. Really important to have somebody external where you can, it's called reality therapy. I'm afraid this will happen. Okay, what's your evidence that that will happen? I don't know. I'm just kind of afraid it will. Okay, well, why don't we do some experiments and see what happens? Oh, wow, nothing happened. I'm actually safe. Fantastic. Let's challenge the next one, okay? Having a spotter on the outside, whether that's a coach, a therapist, a mentor, a pastor or a priest, a friend, an aunt, having somebody who can watch over you and then guide you into challenging those pathways, really, really important. As you challenge them, it's a process called systematic desensitization. As you process those and challenge them, you rewire these neural pathways through positive reinforcement, and their behavior begins to shift. I don't have to be afraid of that anymore because this is proof. I don't have to be afraid of this because this is proof. What most people get wrong here, and I want to make this very clear, please listen, is they think learning through a podcast or a book is enough, and it's not. Learning does not rewire your neural pathways. That's why people spend 10 years studying and never achieve a new outcome. It's because you haven't rewired anything. You've just gathered a bunch of knowledge that is now hypothetical. Rewiring neural pathways requires proof. Okay? Proof means you have to experiment, which means the potential for failure. We have to manage those risks, so it's like a 99% chance of success, and then have that, and then have the proof, and that begins to rewire your brain. And as you do that, everything gets better. That's where everything shifts. That's why people don't get better for 20 years sometimes in talk therapy. Then they come into my coaching practice and I say, have this conversation with this person. And they do, and boom, suddenly they achieve a huge impact and a huge change because what they did was have a conversation. They didn't just sit and talk. The talking to yourself alone inside your head, probably not going to help. The thinking right? The thinking. Oh my goodness, the thinking. It just kills you. Rewire your pathways by doing. That's absolutely crucial. Okay. As you rewire your brain's pathways to relationships, you'll enhance your ability to engage in and sustain healthy, secure connections. Absolutely crucial that you do this. Now, guys, I have a ton of resources to help you, and I want to make sure you know about them. Unfortunately, what I've learned is that a lot of people don't know I have resources available. That's why I'm making it a little heavy in this video, because I just want you to know I've got courses, I've got coaching, I've got books, I've got a coaching community with group coaching components. I have this YouTube channel. I have so many resources available to you guys at every level. I want to make sure you know they're available, because the last thing I want is for you to sit there for 10 years thinking and saying, dang, I wish somebody could help me. I want you to know what's available. Okay. I have, for example, the How to Love an Avoidant Man video course that offers step-by-step guidance to help you address issues directly. Adam, I have anxious attachment style and I don't know what to do about it. I get this email all the time. Check out the Attachment Bootcamp video course. Did you know it's a 10-step process I built to take somebody from overwhelmed by insecurity and fear every day to being confident and calm and having great relationships with people they trust, so that you can go out on the weekend with people that you care about. You can come home to a partner who loves you and never walk on eggshells again. Take the Attachment Bootcamp course for that. If you need direct one-on-one coaching, I am here for that. I have so many programs and resources available, you guys. It's not even funny. And I'm building a coaching expansion program where people can work directly with certified coaches that I have trained myself. I want to make this accessible to everybody, everywhere, because I can't help every person personally in the world. It's just, I wish the numbers would line up. I can't. I have to train coaches who can then go out and help people as well. So I'm doing that. If you need help breaking these patterns, if you had that one bad relationship that wrecked everything, or if you're in it right now, or if you're trying to make sure you don't have one bad relationship that wrecks everything and you're trying to build better patterns before that happens, please just reach out. Hit me in the comments. Send me an email. Just watch a few more videos. Whatever you need, I am here to help. And if you want some free resources, make sure you don't miss the blog on my website, adamlanesmith.com. I don't even know if you guys know that I have a blog available on there, but adamlanesmith.com, free blog posts with advice and materials and targeted insights specifically to help you in relationships. I've also got my newsletter on my website. Did you know I have a free attachment newsletter? It's called the Attachment Newsletter. Make sure you check it out for more free advice. I am trying to give out as much free value as I can for the people who need it. And I have other resources available for the people who are seeking deeper connection, okay? And deeper assistance and faster results. I am here for all of this. I want to make this clear, okay, guys? By focusing on these solutions that I've laid out here today and these ways of handling these difficult relationships, you can address the impact of toxic relationships and you can work toward healthier, more secure connections. I know that you can. I am here to assist you if you need it. Please take some time. Watch more videos here on this channel. I have everything available that you need. I have tried my hardest to put out hundreds of videos over the past few years about this. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you check my website where I have things like the Attachment Immersion Retreat coming up. I'm going to launch that and relaunch it with an even better web page so that everybody can see what it's all about and see if it's the right match for you. If you want to come see me at a retreat, check out my website, adamlanesmith.com. Do not miss all the resources. I know I sound passionate. I just want to help and make sure everybody knows this. The last thing I want is to hear, Adam, I didn't know you have a free newsletter. Adam, I wish that you had resources for me. Man, I've got them all along and I always will. So make sure you make use of them. I'm here to help. Drop a comment. Send me an email, please. Okay. Can one bad relationship really wreck your attachment style? Yes. Can one amazing relationship also fix it? Yes, but only if you're properly prepared, you've done your work, you've understood what's happening, you've repaired your trauma response, you've built better neural pathways, and you have the right experiences in that relationship to show you that love is possible for you. Then you can build a loving relationship and a great attachment style going forward. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. I am here to assist. Let me know how I can help you, and I will see you in the next video.